In the next 10 years, London will either become the most powerful city on Earth or watch its 2,000-year empire quietly fall apart. And the data shows it's already happening. Right now, a millionaire is leaving this city every 45 minutes. The River Thames is losing 570 million liters of water every single day. And a flood barrier built to last until 2030 is now being asked to protect 1.4 million people until 2070. But here's what nobody on the news is telling you. Behind the chaos, London is quietly engineering the most insane comeback in modern history. There's a $230 billion industry growing in the shadows, a network of underground megaprojects no other city on Earth can match. And by 2036, this city won't just survive. It could rewrite the rules of what a global capital even is. This is what really happens when an empire's capital fights for its future. Let's start with a number that should not exist. London generates 22% of the entire UK economy. That's £618 billion. From one city, more than the entire GDP of Belgium, more than Sweden, more than Argentina, from just 13% of Britain's population. And yet, in this same city, on the same streets where bankers walk past £200,000 a year offices in Canary Wharf, 13,231 people slept rough last year. A new record, the highest number in London's history. That's the paradox we need to talk about. Because London isn't one city, it's two cities layered on top of each other, and in the next 10 years, only one of them is going to win. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you about London's plus side will make every other major city look small. And then what I show you about the dark side is going to genuinely shock you. First, the empire. Because most people don't actually understand what London is in 2026. This is the second most powerful financial center on Earth, behind New York, by exactly 1 point on the Global Financial Centers Index. 1 point, Singapore is third, Hong Kong is fourth. The gap between number 1 and number 4, 3 points total. London is basically tied with the most important city in human civilization. 31% of all global currency trading happens here. That's more than New York and Tokyo combined. Trillions of dollars flow every single day through a 1 square mile zone called the city, which has only 7,400 residents but 540,000 workers, the densest concentration of money on Earth. But finance is the old story. Here's the new one. London has quietly become Europe's AI capital. 2,300 venture-backed AI companies. Combined valuation, $230 billion. In 2025 alone, UK AI startups raised £3.4 billion. That's 30% of all venture capital in the country. Names you've never heard yet, but you will. And scale, valued at $14.6 billion after just 2 years of existence. Wave, building self-driving AI, raised over $1 billion. Synthesia, 11 labs, Isomorphic Labs. This is Silicon Valley's biggest rival, and it's growing while you watch. And the culture? 80 Michelin-starred restaurants, 850 galleries, free entry to the British Museum, the Natural History Museum, the Tate, the National Gallery, all of it. Heathrow handled 83.9 million passengers in 2024, the busiest year in its history. 21 million international tourists chose London over Paris last year. 3,000 parks. 20% of the city is green space. The world's first national park city. Over 300 languages spoken on its streets. 40% of Londoners were born in another country. This is, by almost every measure, the most international city ever built. So, what's the problem? Here's the problem, and this is where things get uncomfortable. Imagine you earn the median London salary. You work hard, you save, you want to buy a home. The average London property in 2026 costs £511,000. Your salary multiplied by 10.6 equals one home. In Kensington and Chelsea, 25 times your salary. And renting isn't a way out. The average London rent, £2,260 every single month. £27,000 a year just to have a roof over your head. Renters are now spending 46% of their income on rent. Nearly half of everything they earn. So what's the city doing about it? It set a target, 88,000 new homes a year. The number actually built in 2025? Pop. 5,547, 5% of the target. The system isn't slow, it has stopped. That's why 336,000 households are on London's social housing waiting list. That's why 75,000 families are stuck in temporary accommodation, a record. That's why 13,000 people are sleeping on the streets right now. This isn't a slow crisis, this is collapse in real time. And then there's the water. Thames Water, the company that supplies clean drinking water to 15.5 million people, is £20 billion in debt. Last year, it lost 200 billion liters of water through leaking Victorian pipes. 570 million liters every day. Imagine 230 Olympic swimming pools emptied into the dirt every single day. In 2025, the regulator hit Thames Water with the largest fine in its history. The government is openly discussing nationalization. The basic infrastructure of the world's #2 financial city is held together with duct tape. Now let's talk about something the media gets completely wrong. Knife crime. You've seen the headlines. Murder capital of Europe. War zone London. The reality? London's murder rate is lower than Paris, lower than Berlin, lower than Madrid, lower than every single US state, including New York. And in 2025, homicides hit the lowest level in over 20 years. Londoners are statistically less likely to suffer violent crime with injury than the average across England and Wales. The Londoners getting stabbed are real. The crisis is real. But the moral panic is bigger than the data. That's the truth. The bigger threat isn't on the streets. It's in the air and in the river. Air pollution kills an estimated 3,800 to 5,100 Londoners every single year. The ultra-low emission zone, the policy that enraged outer London, that defined political careers, that triggered the vandalism of hundreds of cameras. It actually worked. Pollution deaths down 40% in 5 years. For the first time ever, London met legal pollution limits in 2024, almost 200 years earlier than scientists predicted. But people are still dying. And the cost to the NHS from polluted air? £3.7 billion every year. And then the Thames Barrier, the most important piece of climate infrastructure in the country, operational since 1982, designed to last until 2030, already closed 221 times to stop London from flooding. With sea levels rising, engineers are patching it to function until 2070, protecting 1.4 million people and £321 billion of assets behind it. By 2040, the government has to decide what replaces it. By 2050, they need to raise the river defenses upstream. The clock is ticking on London's most vulnerable side. It's a city sitting at sea level on a tidal river, and the tide is winning. And now, the exodus. This is where it gets political. In April 2025, the UK abolished the non-dom tax regime. A 200-year-old loophole, gone. Wealthy foreigners who lived in London and paid almost nothing on offshore income, suddenly facing 40% inheritance tax. The result? Henley & Partners says 16,500 millionaires left in 2025 alone, taking $91.8 billion with them. Dubai is the biggest winner. Italy, Switzerland, Singapore are picking up the rest. But, and this is critical, those numbers are contested. HMRC data and the Tax Justice Network say it's a myth. A 2024 LSE study found most wealthy Britons would never actually leave for tax reasons. So who's right? Honestly, we don't know yet. But the perception alone is reshaping London's reputation as the safest haven for global wealth. That's a war the city has won for 300 years, and it's now in real doubt. So now you've seen both Londons, the empire, and the collapse. The question is, which one wins by 2036? Here's what the experts actually predict, and the answers are wild. Oxford Economics, one of the most respected forecasters on the planet, predicts London's economy will grow more than 2% a year through 2030. Faster than most European cities, faster than most global peers. Their verdict? London is still the world's #1 city for human capital. #1 on Earth. By 2030, London's population is projected to hit 10 million. By 2050, possibly 12 million. The biggest city in Western Europe by a wide margin. And it's all driven by migration. The natural birth rate is below replacement. London is being remade every decade by the people who choose it. The mega projects? Buckle up. HS2, the high-speed rail line that's already cost up to £100 billion, is supposed to reach London by 2036. Maybe. The extension to Euston might not finish until 2043. The Bakerloo line extension to Lewisham is in the pipeline. The DLR is being extended to Thamesmead, potentially unlocking 30,000 new homes. The Silvertown Tunnel opened in April 2025, London's first new road river crossing in 30 years. The £4.2 billion Tideway Super Sewer started operating in 2025, finally fixing the Victorian sewage system. At Old Oak Common, currently a wasteland in West London, they're building one of Europe's biggest urban regenerations. 22,000 new homes, £10 billion added to the economy. But here's the wild card. Artificial intelligence. The UK government just committed to a sovereign AI unit with £500 million. AI growth zones drew $28.2 billion in private investment. Microsoft Nvidia committing billions to UK AI infrastructure. The Stargate UK supercomputer is being built. By 2036, London could be either the Western world's AI capital or watch every promising founder relocate to San Francisco. A third of UK AI leaders surveyed in 2025 said they were considering moving abroad. That's the fork in the road. Climate? In May 2026, the mayor of London publicly admitted London will not hit its 2030 net zero target. He blamed the national power grid. Critics blamed political failure. Either way, the climate clock is broken. So let me give you the two scenarios, the optimistic one and the pessimistic one. Optimistic London 2036. AI infrastructure makes the city a $1 trillion tech economy. Mega projects deliver. Climate defenses are upgraded. Housing finally scales. Population hits 10 million. The economy compounds at over 2%. London is still number 1 or number 2 financial center on Earth. It's wealthier than ever. More diverse than ever. The crown jewel of post-Brexit Britain. Pessimistic London 2036. The wealth exodus accelerates. Housing keeps failing. 5,000 homes a year against an 88,000 target. Thames Water collapses. Gets nationalized. Costs the taxpayer tens of billions. HS2 slips again. Crossrail 2 stays mothballed. Climate adaptation costs explode. Dubai, Paris, Singapore, New York steadily eat London's lunch. The talent leaves, the young leave. And by 2036, London is still big, still grand, but no longer essential. Which one is it going to be? Honestly, the truth is, it's going to be both. London in 2036 will be richer in aggregate and more unequal, bigger and more fragile, older buildings and new mega projects. The split city we already see will be the defining feature of the next decade. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. London isn't just a city, it's the original blueprint, the first global capital. The model New York, Tokyo, Singapore, Dubai, all of them copied. For 200 years, London wrote the rules of what a world city looks like. And now, for the first time in modern history, London has to decide what it actually is. A financial city competing with New York and Singapore, a tech city competing with San Francisco and Berlin, a cultural city competing with Paris and Tokyo, a livable city competing with Copenhagen and Vienna. The answer can't be all of them. Not anymore. And the choices made between now and 2036 will define what London is for the next century. If you live here, you already feel it. If you're moving here, you need to understand it. And if you're watching from anywhere else in the world, you should be paying attention. Because London's choices are about to become every major city's choices. The housing crisis, the wealth exodus, the climate clock, the AI gold rush, the infrastructure decay. Every global city is facing the same battles. London is just facing them first. So watch this city. Don't look away, because the most important decade in London's modern history just started. This was London, 2026 to 2036, the decade that decides everything. If you want the real data, not the headlines, not the spin, subscribe. We're tracking this every single step of the way.